This past weekend, on October 22nd, a group of neo-Nazi white supremacists that go by the Goyim Defense League gathered along the 405 freeway in Los Angeles and hung 3 banners that read, "Kanye is right about the Jews, honk if you know," and a URL to their pseudo-YouTube website, goyimtv.tv, which just hosts a plethora of anti-Semitic, racist, bigoted content. Now, this group is led by a man named John Minadeo II, who just this past summer was arrested at the Auschwitz concentration memorial in Poland for absolutely vile displays of anti-Semitism. And he's been doing these demonstrations all over the country, most recently in Miami, and now he's bringing it to Los Angeles. And the question is, what does Kanye have to do with this display?
What I'm doing is I'm Me Tooing the Jewish culture. I'm saying, y'all gotta stand up and admit to what y'all been doing.
Well, in case you've missed it, for the last couple of weeks, Kanye has gone on a number of talk shows talking about the Jewish media and Jewish people in power in general. And in fact, he has gotten kicked off of Instagram and Twitter for his anti-Semitic comments. Let's listen to a few of them.
Now, many people who are Jewish found that deeply offensive. They wanted to know, what did you mean by going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people? Because DEFCON 3, as you know, is a heightened state of awareness for military action. So what did you mean by?
Well, thank you for allowing me to say what I meant due to the fact that I was blocked by Jewish people after I said that. So I wasn't actually allowed to say what I was about to say.
But it can't be narrowed down to, like you're saying, you're saying Jewish media, but it's the media. There's people obviously in
I'm not narrowing down. I want Jewish children to look at their daddy and say, "Why is Jay mad at us?"
Now, that was just a glimpse of the almost 5 hours of total footage that make up the Drink Champs and Piers Morgan interviews. And there's a lot of themes that deserve to be unpacked there, like the 12 lost tribes of Israel, the tensions that exist between the Black and Jewish community, and particularly as that pertains to the entertainment industry. And I'm not going to get into any of those today because, frankly, I'm just not qualified to talk about those topics. And the only reason that I'm feeling compelled to even make this video is because, as a citizen of the world, as we all are, it's important to call out conspiracy theories, and in particular, one that is as dangerous as the world domination conspiracy. This international Jewish conspiracy, or world Jewish conspiracy, is a conspiracy theory that typically claims that a malevolent, usually global Jewish circle conspired for world domination. It has been described as the most widespread, durable conspiracy theory of the 20th century, and also one of the most long-running. What I'm going to attempt to do is examine the history of this conspiracy because we seem to have forgotten our history or never learned it at all. And I strongly believe that not knowing or learning our history leads to things like someone like Trump getting elected, Roe v. Wade getting overturned, or even the war in Ukraine right now. If we do not learn our history, history repeats itself. Now, at this point, you might be like, whoa, we are way over dramatizing this. This is Kanye West. He says inflammatory stuff all the time. I thought that same thing before I went and read the comments on the Drink Champs interview, the Piers Morgan interview, his Twitter post, his Instagram post, because it is in large majority filled with support. Roll the clip. So his Drink Champs interview was actually taken down, but has continued to come back up, and it's filled with comments that say things like, "Kanye's hit the nail on the head. Well done for having the balls to say what's actually going on in this crazy land. What a freaking genius. The fact that they apologized and keep taking it down proves exactly what Ye said in the interview. Good for him. So proud of him. You have to be spiritually awakened to truly understand that he's saying nothing but facts. Thanks for posting this. I get what Kanye's saying," etc., etc. That is just the tip of the iceberg. There is overwhelming support for what he's saying on the internet. So let's dive into the history of the world domination conspiracy and where it comes from. So this conspiracy theory first traces back to a text called The Protocols of Zion, which was published in the early 19th century. It was purported to be a real report of a series of 24 meetings held in Switzerland at the time of the First Zionist Congress. This group of Zionist elders were said to have made plans to disrupt Christian civilization and erect a world state under their joint rule. Liberalism and socialism were to be the means of subverting Christendom. If subversion failed, all the capitals of Europe were to be sabotaged. So that'd be pretty freaky if only it were true. Turns out this whole text was plagiarized from a book called The Dialogue in Hell Between Machiavelli and Montesquieu. And the whole thing was a hoax. But despite the fact that numerous independent investigations have repeatedly proven that this was a form of plagiarism and literary forgery, it still took off. In fact, Hitler mentioned it several times in his Nazi manifesto called Mein Kampf, even though he himself admitted that it is a hoax. You see, Hitler felt that it was a hoax because he didn't think that Jews needed to get together in a room in order to conspire to take over the world. He felt that it was in their blood to do so. He felt that they were genetically predispositioned to want to have power over others. But Hitler attributed these malicious, inferior characteristics to anybody that was not a part of the Aryan race. In fact, that was the crux of his whole belief, is that humans are divided into different races who are doomed to eternal and bloody struggle for finite resources. So this belief in every single race acting as a monolith, and in this case, the vilification of the Jewish people as a whole, leads to something as atrocious as the Holocaust. Between 1941 and 1945, Nazi Germany and its collaborators systemically murdered over 6 million Jews across German-occupied Europe, equaling to about 2/3 of Europe's Jewish population. It has only been 80 years, and the Jewish population is still fighting to recover from the systemic mass murder of their people. But the Holocaust didn't start with gas chambers. It started with a conspiracy. The conspiracy that Jews act as a whole persists to this day. You might have heard the story about a British man named Malik Akram who flew to the United States just this past January and took 4 hostages in a synagogue in Texas. Akram was demanding the release of a Pakistani neuroscientist who was serving an 86-year prison sentence in Texas over attempts to kill U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan. But why would a British Muslim man threaten the lives of 4 Jews in Texas over the actions of a Pakistani in Afghanistan from 2008? Well, he believed that Jews act as a monolith and that they are secretly running all the affairs of the world. Unlike many other bigotries, anti-Semitism is not merely a social prejudice, it's a conspiracy theory about how the world operates. And Jewish communities all over the world are still targets of hate crimes based on the world domination conspiracy. And bringing it back to the artist formerly known as Kanye West, he is inciting this world conspiracy theory all over again. Take a listen to this next clip.
It's hard to influence patriotism on capitalists. And it's a responsibility for us as Americans to retake our power in media, to retake our power in our schools, to retake our power in our farms, to retake our power in our medicine, in our hospitals, to revitalize the country. And Americans are God-fearing, for the most part, God-fearing Christian people, and we're not cheap, and we can't be sold for cheap. And we're here to stand up and say, you gotta honor who we are, our families. You got to honor our God, Jesus Christ.
So let's briefly unpack that, right? He says that we as Americans need to take our power back from the media. And because he stated so many times that the media is made up of Jewish people, we can only assume that he means take our power back from Jewish people. And by saying that we as Americans need to take our power back from Jewish people is insinuating that Jews are not American and that they are other. That othering is incredibly dangerous, right? And especially when he says things like, real Americans are God-fearing, that they believe in Jesus Christ. This us versus them mentality inherently creates a villain out of the Jewish people and a hero out of those that are God-fearing Christian Americans. What anti-Semitism does is it oversimplifies the problems that we have in our society and makes us completely miss the mark. Walter Russell Mead, a professor at Bard College, put it better than I ever could. People who think the Jews run the banks lose the ability to understand, much less operate financial systems. People who think the Jews dominate business through hidden structures can't build or long maintain a successful modern company. People who think the Jews dominate politics lose their ability to interpret political events, to diagnose social evils, and to organize effectively for positive change. See, the real danger of conspiracy theories is that it makes us miss the mark, and instead of tending to actual solutions, we focus on the wrong thing and hurt many people in the process. So the things that Kanye West is talking about are not revolutionary new ideas. They are age-old dangerous tropes that deserve our attention. Unfortunately, the world is way more complicated than that. There is a whole lot of nuance to everything. And the truth is that there is no single Jewish community, just like there's no single Black community. Both groups have internal polarizing differences based on class, region, gender, politics, occupation, and a host of other less tangible factors. Simplifying that fact just gets us nowhere, and in fact leads us to repeat our history. And with that, my rant is over. It is all our responsibility to learn our history and keep talking about it. Do not let it die, so that the next generation will not forget. Thank you.